God is closer than you think. Right now. Do not turn away. My child. Be still for a moment. Do not scroll away. Do not tell yourself this is not meant for you. Do not assume you already know what I am about to say. I am closer than you think. Closer than your thoughts. Closer than your fear. Closer than the silence you have been sitting in. Pause. Breathe slowly. Let your shoulders soften. You have been asking where I am. You have been wondering if I stepped back. You have been questioning whether you were forgotten. And yet, I have never moved. My child. I see how tired you are. Not just physically. But deep inside, where no one else looks. Where you carry questions you do not speak out loud. You have been strong longer than you should have had to be. You have been patient longer than felt fair. You have been waiting for relief that seems slow to arrive. And in that waiting, doubt has grown quiet roots. You wondered if I was distant. If I was silent on purpose. If you were doing something wrong. Listen to me now. Distance is not what you are experiencing. Stillness is. I did not leave. I did not turn away. I did not stop listening. I am closer than you think right now. Closer than the breath you are holding. Closer than the tears you swallow back. Closer than the thoughts you are afraid to finish. My child. You expected closeness to feel loud. You expected signs. Answers. Clear direction. But closeness often feels quiet. So quiet that fear mistakes it for absence. You have been surrounded by noise for so long. Your mind racing. Your heart bracing. Your body staying alert. And now that things have slowed. You think you are alone. But this quiet is where I meet you. Not in panic. Not in rushing. Not in forcing. Here. Right now. Breathe again. You do not need to perform for me. You do not need the right words. You do not need to prove faith, belief, or strength. I am not measuring you. I am holding you. My child. I know the pain you carry. The disappointment you did not expect. The loss you never prepared for. The confusion that still lingers. You replay conversations. You revisit decisions. You wonder how your life reached this place. And in those thoughts, you quietly ask. Where were you? I was here. In the moment you almost broke and somehow didn't. In the night you cried silently so no one would hear. In the breath you took when you thought you couldn't keep going. I was closer than you think. Even when you could not feel me. Feelings are not the measure of presence. You can be numb and still be held. You can be exhausted and still be guided. You can be unsure and still be seen. My child. You have been listening for my voice in ways that exhausted you. Looking outward. Looking ahead. Looking for certainty before resting. But my closeness does not live in certainty. It lives in steadiness. The steadiness that kept your heart beating when you were overwhelmed. The steadiness that slowed you down when rushing would have broken you. The steadiness that protected you from paths that would have cost you too much. You call that delay. I call it care. You call that silence. I call it closeness without pressure. I know you expected me to fix everything quickly. To remove the pain. To make things clear. But clarity comes when the heart feels safe. And safety comes before answers. That is why I have been close. Closer than you think. My child. I know you feel alone even when people are around. You smile. You speak. You function. But inside, you feel unseen. That loneliness is heavy. It makes you question your worth. It makes you doubt your importance. It makes you wonder if anyone truly knows you. I know. And I want you to hear this clearly. You are not invisible to me. Not your thoughts. Not your fears. Not your quiet hopes. I see the effort it takes for you just to show up. I see how you hold yourself together. I see how you keep going even when you are tired of being strong. That effort has not gone unnoticed. I am closer than you think right now. Not waiting for you to become better. Not waiting for you to understand everything. Not waiting for you to be calm or confident. Right here. As you are. My child. You have been trying to fix yourself. To understand why you feel the way you do. To analyze your emotions. To make sense of this season. But this moment does not need fixing. It needs gentleness. Stop tightening your grip on yourself. Stop demanding answers from your heart. Stop telling yourself you should be further along. You are not behind. You are being held in a pause. And pauses are not empty. They are protective. They allow what is breaking to stop breaking further. They allow what is healing to do its work quietly. You are not stuck. You are being cared for. My child. If you could see how close I am, you would stop apologizing for your tears. You would stop explaining your exhaustion. You would stop believing you have to earn rest. You would let yourself breathe. So breathe now. Slowly. Gently. Nothing is being taken from you in this moment. Nothing is about to fall apart. I am here. Closer than your fear. Closer than your doubt. Closer than your need to understand. My child. You may not feel comfort yet. That is okay. Comfort does not rush in. It settles. And it begins with knowing you are not alone. You have not been abandoned. You have not been overlooked. You have not been forgotten. Even now, something inside you is easing. Your shoulders are dropping. Your breath is slowing. Your thoughts are softening. That is not coincidence. That is what happens when you stop being alone with your pain. Stay here. Do not rush ahead. Do not ask what comes next yet. Just stay. In the next part, I will speak to the silence you have been afraid of. Why it exists. And how it is not distance, but intimacy. Remain with me. I am closer than you think right now. You are no longer afraid of being alone with your thoughts. You are no longer running from stillness. You are no longer demanding immediate answers just to feel safe. That is growth. And I was close through all of it. My child. The silence is beginning to soften now. Not because everything is resolved. But because you are calmer. You are not as tense. Not as panicked. Not as desperate to escape the unknown. That calm did not come from answers. It came from presence. From realizing you were not abandoned. From sensing something steady beneath your fear. That steadiness is me. Closer than you think. Stay here a little longer. Do not rush the quiet away. Do not fill it with distraction. Let it hold you. In the next part, I will speak to the fear that rose in the silence. The thoughts that whispered when everything slowed down. And how those fears do not have the final word over your life. Remain with me. I am still here. My child. Let us speak now about the fear that rose in the quiet. The fear that surfaced when the noise faded. The fear you tried to reason with. The fear you pretended not to hear. Pause with me. Take a slow breath. Fear does not mean danger. When everything slowed down, your mind began to speak louder. Thoughts you had pushed aside finally stepped forward. Questions you avoided asked to be answered. What if nothing changes? What if I am alone in this? What if I am not enough? Those thoughts frightened you. You wondered if they meant something was wrong. If they meant you were failing. If they meant I was no longer near. But my child, fear often rises when safety finally appears. Because when you are no longer in survival, your heart has room to speak honestly. You were not becoming weaker. You were becoming truthful. Fear is not a sign of distance from me. It is a sign that you care deeply about your life. And I was with you in those fearful thoughts. Closer than you think. My child. Fear tried to convince you that you were fragile. That one more disappointment would undo you. That you were barely holding on. That you were standing on the edge of collapse. But fear speaks from memory, not from truth. It remembers pain and assumes it will repeat. It remembers loss and expects it again. It remembers silence and calls it abandonment. But fear does not see the whole picture. Fear did not see how much you have grown. It did not see the steadiness forming inside you. It did not see the strength that no longer needs to prove itself. I saw it. I saw how you paused instead of panicked. How you breathed instead of ran. How you stayed present instead of disappearing. Those moments mattered. My child. Fear is loud when it feels ignored. But when it is gently acknowledged, it softens. You tried to fight fear at first. To silence it. To shame yourself for feeling it. But fear is not something to defeat. It is something to be held. And I held it with you. I did not turn away when fear rose. I did not leave when your thoughts became heavy. I did not withdraw when doubt crept in. I stayed. Fear does not scare me. Your questions do not offend me. Your vulnerability does not push me away. I am closest when you are honest. My child. Fear told you that you needed answers immediately to be safe. But safety is not built on certainty. It is built on presence. You did not need to know what would happen next to survive. You needed to know you were not alone. And you were not. Even when fear tightened your chest. Even when your thoughts spiraled at night. Even when your heart felt exposed. I was closer than you think. Closer than the fear itself. Fear also revealed something important. It showed you what matters to you. What you are afraid to lose. What you long to protect. Fear pointed to your values. Your desire for connection. Your need for peace. Your hope for a life that feels meaningful. Those are not weaknesses. They are signs of a living heart. My child. You are not meant to eliminate fear. You are meant to learn how to move gently alongside it. Fear does not get to decide your future. Fear does not get to define your worth. Fear does not get the final word. It can speak. But it does not lead. You are learning that now. You notice that fear rises. And falls. That it does not stay forever. That it does not destroy you. That you can breathe through it. That realization changes everything. My child. Each time you stayed with fear without running. You built trust inside yourself. Trust that you can feel deeply and still remain steady. Trust that uncertainty does not mean collapse. Trust that silence does not mean abandonment. And I was there, reinforcing that trust. Closer than you think. Fear wanted you to believe you were alone in your thoughts. But you were not. I was listening. Not to judge. Not to correct. But to be with you. My child. Notice how fear has less power now. It still visits. But it does not dominate. You no longer spiral the way you once did. You no longer assume the worst immediately. You no longer believe every thought that appears. That is growth. Fear did not defeat you. It refined you. It taught you where you needed reassurance instead of pressure. Where you needed rest instead of answers. Where you needed closeness instead of control. And that is why I stayed so near. Because this was not a season to push through. It was a season to be held. Stay here with me. Let fear pass through without resistance. Let your breath stay slow. Let your body feel supported. You are not in danger right now. Nothing is being taken from you. Nothing is collapsing. I am here. In the next part, I will speak to the waiting you have been enduring. Why it feels so heavy. And how waiting does not mean nothing is happening. Remain with me. I am closer than you think right now. My child. Let us speak about the waiting. The waiting you never planned for. The waiting that feels heavier than action. The waiting that makes you wonder if you are standing still while life moves on. Pause with me now. Slow your breath. Waiting is not abandonment. You have been waiting for clarity. Waiting for relief. Waiting for something to finally shift. And the longer it lasts, the more it feels like nothing is happening. You tell yourself you should be doing more. Trying harder. Pushing forward. You fear that waiting means wasting time. That stillness means failure. That pausing means falling behind. But my child, waiting is not empty. It is full of unseen work. You were not meant to rush through this season. If you had moved too quickly, you would have carried wounds that were not healed. You would have rebuilt your life on exhaustion instead of truth. So I slowed you. Not to punish you. Not to test you. But to protect you. Waiting feels heavy because it strips away distractions. It removes the illusion of control. It quiets the noise that once kept you busy. It forces you to sit with yourself. And that is uncomfortable. Because when you sit with yourself, you feel things you postponed. You notice needs you ignored. You recognize limits you crossed for too long. That awareness is part of healing. My child. You have been waiting. But you have not been stagnant. While you waited, your heart softened. While you waited, your discernment sharpened. While you waited, your nervous system learned how to rest again. These changes do not announce themselves loudly. But they matter. Waiting has been teaching you patience without bitterness. Presence without panic. Trust without certainty. Those lessons cannot be rushed. You once believed that movement meant progress. That action meant growth. That speed meant success. But now you are learning a deeper truth. Growth often looks like stillness from the outside. Roots grow underground first. No one sees them. But without them, nothing stands. You are growing roots. Roots of self-respect. Roots of calm. Roots of honesty. Those roots will support everything that comes next. My child. I know waiting has made you question yourself. You ask if you missed your moment. If you waited too long. If opportunities quietly passed you by. But what is meant for you does not disappear because you paused. What aligns with who you are becoming will meet you at the right time. Not the rush time. Not the pressured time. The right time. Waiting is not a sign that life forgot you. It is a sign that life is aligning around you. Alignment takes time. And you are in the middle of it. That middle always feels uncomfortable. Because you are no longer who you were. But not yet fully living as who you are becoming. That space feels uncertain. But it is sacred. My child. You do not need to force movement to be valuable. Your worth does not decrease because you are waiting. Your life does not lose meaning because answers are slow. Your future is not threatened because you are resting. Waiting is not weakness. It is wisdom learning to trust. Trust that you do not need to chase everything. Trust that you do not need to prove your worth through exhaustion. Trust that you can pause without being left behind. I know waiting tests your patience. There are days you want something, anything, to happen. Days you are tired of being strong. Days you wish I would just speak clearly. I hear that. And I am not distant from it. I am close in your impatience. Close in your frustration. Close in your sighs. Closer than you think. My child. Waiting is where your heart is being recalibrated. Old desires are losing their hold. Old patterns are being released. Old expectations are being softened. You are being prepared for a life that fits you better. If things had moved sooner, you might have settled for less than peace. You might have chosen from fear instead of clarity. You might have repeated cycles that drained you. So I asked you to wait. Not forever. Just long enough to heal. Just long enough to see clearly. Just long enough to trust yourself again. Waiting does not mean you are stuck. It means you are being guided gently. My child. Notice this. Even while waiting, you are still breathing. Still listening. Still open. That tells me you are not lost. You are present. And presence is powerful. You are learning how to be with yourself without rushing away. How to sit with uncertainty without collapsing. How to trust closeness without constant reassurance. Those skills will carry you far. Stay here with me. Do not rush the waiting away. Do not judge yourself for it. Let it shape you gently. In the next part, I will speak to the loneliness that can grow during waiting. Why it feels so deep. And how even there, you are not alone. Remain with me. I am closer than you think right now. My child. Let us speak about the loneliness that grows in waiting. The loneliness that surprises you. The loneliness that arrives even when people are around. The loneliness that makes you feel unseen in a crowded world. Pause with me now. Let your breath slow. Loneliness is not rejection. You did not become lonely because you failed. You did not become lonely because you are difficult to love. You became lonely because you are changing. Waiting has shifted you inward. It has made you quieter. More reflective. Less interested in surface-level connection. And because of that, you feel different. You listen more than you speak. You observe more than you engage. You feel more than you share. Others may not notice the change. But you do. And that awareness can feel isolating. My child. Loneliness hurts most when you feel misunderstood. When your inner world feels deep. And no one asks about it. When your silence is mistaken for distance. When your growth goes unnoticed. You smile. You nod. You show up. But inside, you feel separate. That separation is heavy. It makes you wonder if anyone truly sees you. If anyone would notice if you stop trying. If anyone understands what you are carrying. I understand. I see what others overlook. I see the restraint it takes for you to stay gentle. I see the discipline it takes to not harden your heart. I see the courage it takes to sit with yourself instead of escaping. You are not invisible here. My child. Loneliness often comes before alignment. Before you find connection that feels mutual. Before you find people who meet you where you are. Before you feel understood without explanation. It is a passage, not a destination. You are shedding relationships that only knew the old version of you. The version that performed. The version that overextended. The version that stayed quiet to keep peace. As you change, those connections loosen. That does not mean something is wrong. It means you are no longer abandoning yourself to belong. That choice can feel lonely at first. But it is necessary. My child. You are learning the difference between being surrounded and being supported. Between attention and care. Between noise and connection. That learning is painful. Because it asks you to sit with unmet needs. Without immediately filling them. But it is also preparing you. preparing you to recognize connection that feels safe. That feels calm. That feels mutual. You will no longer confuse closeness with intensity. You will no longer chase validation. You will no longer accept half-seen relationships just to avoid being alone. This loneliness is refining your heart. I know you miss being chosen. Being checked on. Being held without having to explain yourself. That longing is not weakness. It is your heart remembering what it was made for. Connection will return. But it will come differently. It will come slower. Quieter. More honest. It will meet you where you are now. Not where you used to be. My child. Even now, you are not alone. Loneliness tells you that you are isolated. But isolation is not the same as solitude. Solitude is where truth surfaces. Where healing deepens. Where you learn how to stay with yourself. And I am with you in this solitude. Closer than you think. In the moments you sit quietly. In the moments you scroll just to feel less alone. In the moments you wish someone would notice how tired you are. I notice. I am not uncomfortable with your loneliness. I am not impatient with your longing. I am not distant because you need closeness. I stay. My child. Do not rush to fill this loneliness. Do not force connection out of fear. Do not settle for being partially seen. You are learning to honor your depth. Depth does not attract everyone. But it attracts what is real. This season is teaching you how to be alone. Without feeling abandoned. That is a powerful skill. It means you will choose connection from wholeness. Not from emptiness. You will recognize what nourishes you. You will walk away from what drains you. You will no longer disappear to be accepted. Loneliness will not last forever. But the strength you are building in it will. My child. If tonight feels quiet, let it be quiet. If your heart feels tender, let it be tender. Bring that tenderness here. I am not far from it. I am close in your sighs. Close in your unspoken thoughts. Close in the ache you do not know how to describe yet. You are not unseen. You are being held through this. In the next part, I will speak to the doubts that loneliness plants. The questions it whispers about your worth and your future. And I will remind you of what has never changed about you. Remain with me. I am closer than you think right now. My child. Let us speak about the doubts that loneliness plants. The quiet doubts. The ones that do not shout. But whisper when the room is quiet. And your heart is tired. Pause with me now. Breathe gently. You do not need to fight these thoughts. Loneliness has a way of turning inward. It asks questions that feel personal. Questions that feel heavy. Is something wrong with me? Why do I feel so different? Why does it seem harder for me than for others? You did not want these thoughts. You did not invite them. They arrived because you have been alone with your thoughts for too long. Without reassurance. That does not make you weak. It makes you human. My child. Doubt did not come because you are failing. It came because encouragement has been scarce. When affirmation is absent, the mind tries to explain the silence. And too often, it turns that explanation against the self. You began to examine your past. Your words. Your choices. You replayed moments. Wondering if you said too much. Or not enough. You questioned your pace. Your sensitivity. Your needs. And slowly, doubt tried to rewrite your story. But listen to me carefully now. Doubt is not truth. It is pain asking for reassurance. My child. Nothing about your worth has diminished. Not because you are waiting. Not because you feel uncertain. Not because you are quieter than before. Your worth was never dependent on momentum. It was never measured by visibility. It was never defined by how easily life unfolded. You did not lose value when things slowed down. You did not become less because answers were delayed. You did not fall behind because you needed to rest. You are still you. And that is enough. My child. Doubt tells you that this season defines you. That because things are unclear now. Your future must also be unclear. That because you feel unsure. You must be lost. But seasons pass. They do not get to decide identity. This season is shaping you. Not limiting you. It is teaching you discernment. It is strengthening your inner voice. It is loosening attachments that once drained you. Doubt cannot see that work. But I can. My child. You are not too much. Your depth is not a burden. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. Your need for meaning is not unrealistic. These qualities make you thoughtful. Compassionate. Aware. They require a slower pace, yes. But they also create richer lives. You are not meant to move through the world numbly. You are meant to feel. And feeling deeply requires care. My child. Doubt tries to convince you that you should be further along by now. That others have figured it out. That you missed something important. But you are not behind. You are becoming aware. Aware of what no longer fits. Aware of what drains you. Aware of what you truly need to feel at peace. Awareness often feels uncomfortable before it feels empowering. Do not confuse discomfort with failure. My child. I know doubt makes you question your future. You wonder if things will ever feel stable. If connection will return. If purpose will feel clear again. But your future is not built on this moment alone. It is built on everything you are learning now. You are building foundations. Foundations are invisible while they are forming. But they hold everything later. My child. I am not disappointed in you. I am not questioning your path. I am not standing back, waiting for you to do better. I am close in your doubt. Closer than the voice that criticizes you. Closer than the thoughts that question your worth. Closer than the fear that tells you this is all there is. Those thoughts are not the final word. I am. And I say this gently and clearly. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are not forgotten. You are in the middle of becoming. And becoming always feels uncertain. Stay here with me. Do not argue with your doubts tonight. Do not try to silence them forcefully. Just notice them. And let them pass. Return to your breath. Return to this presence. You are not alone in your questions. In the next part, I will speak to trust. The trust that feels fragile right now. And how it begins to rebuild without forcing or pressure. Remain with me. I am closer than you think right now. My child. Let us speak about trust. Not the confident trust you once tried to force. Not the kind that pretends nothing hurts. But the fragile trust you are holding carefully right now. Pause with me. Let your breath slow. You do not need to be certain to be safe. Trust feels delicate because it was shaken. You trusted things to last. You trusted people to stay. You trusted effort to be rewarded. And when those expectations collapsed, trust did not disappear. It withdrew to protect you. That withdrawal was not failure. It was wisdom. My child. You are afraid to trust again. Because you remember how much it cost you last time. You remember the disappointment. The confusion. The feeling of being exposed. So now your heart stands cautiously. Watching. Waiting. Protecting itself. I see that. And I do not ask you to tear those walls down. I ask you to soften them gently. Trust does not rebuild through pressure. It rebuilds through safety. And safety begins here. In this moment. Trust does not mean believing nothing will hurt again. It means believing you will not face pain alone. That is the trust forming now. Quiet. Subtle. Real. My child. You may feel that your trust in me was shaken too. You wondered why I did not intervene sooner. Why I allowed you to reach exhaustion. Why you felt so alone when you needed reassurance. You might feel guilty for those thoughts. Do not. Honest questions do not push me away. They draw me closer. Trust is not blind belief. It is relationship. And relationships deepen through honesty. I did not leave when you doubted. I did not withdraw when you questioned. I did not step back when you felt disappointed. I stayed. Even when you felt nothing. Even when you were numb. Even when you stopped expecting anything. My presence does not depend on your certainty. It rests on my steadiness. My child. Trust is rebuilding in you in ways you may not recognize yet. You rest more easily than before. You pause instead of panic. You feel discomfort without collapsing. These are signs. Signs that your nervous system is learning safety again. Signs that your heart is learning it does not have to brace constantly. Signs that trust is returning inwardly. You are beginning to trust yourself again. Trust that you will notice red flags. Trust that you will honor your limits. Trust that you can walk away from what drains you. That trust matters. It means you will not abandon yourself again. My child. You do not need to trust everything. You do not need to trust everyone. You only need to trust one small thing. That right now, you are held. That right now, nothing is being demanded of you. That right now, you can breathe without preparing for loss. That is where trust begins. Not in the future. Not in outcomes. In presence. Trust grows when you experience safety consistently. And you are experiencing it now. Even if it feels unfamiliar. My child. There will be moments when fear tries to convince you. That trusting again will only lead to pain. When that happens, remember this. You are not the same person you were before. You are wiser. More aware. More grounded. You will not give your trust away blindly again. You will offer it gently. Discernment will guide you. Peace will signal what aligns. Trust rebuilt this way is stronger than before. Because it is rooted in self-respect. My child. You are not broken because trust cracked. You are human. And humans rebuild trust not by force. But by being held gently over time. I am holding you now. Closer than you think. In the next part, I will speak to surrender. Not giving up. But releasing the weight of control that has been exhausting you. Remain with me. You are safe enough to trust this moment. My child. Let us speak about surrender. Not the kind that feels like defeat. Not the kind that feels like disappearing. But the kind that feels like setting something heavy down at last. Pause with me now. Let your breath slow. Let your hands relax. You have been holding so much together by effort alone. Holding expectations. Holding outcomes. Holding responsibilities that were never fully yours. You told yourself that if you loosened your grip, everything would fall apart. That your vigilance was the only thing keeping things stable. That rest would invite collapse. My child. That belief has been exhausting you. Surrender is not giving up on life. It is releasing the illusion that you must control everything to survive. There are things unfolding that are beyond your reach. Other people's choices. Timing you cannot force. Outcomes you cannot predict. You have been blaming yourself for not managing them. That burden does not belong to you. My child. You are allowed to say, quietly and honestly. I cannot carry this anymore. I cannot make this happen by force. I cannot hold everything together on my own. That admission is not weakness. It is wisdom arriving. Surrender begins when you stop arguing with reality. When you stop telling yourself you should have prevented this. When you stop replaying moments as if perfection was possible. When you stop punishing yourself for being human. You can still care deeply without gripping tightly. You can still hope without clinging. You can still move forward without forcing outcomes. My child. I know surrender feels frightening. Because letting go feels like stepping into the unknown. And you have already lived with so much uncertainty. But hear me gently now. You are already in the unknown. Holding tighter will not make it safer. What will change is how you experience it. When you surrender, your body begins to rest. Your breath deepens. Your thoughts slow. You stop living in constant anticipation of disaster. You begin to live again. Surrender does not happen all at once. It happens in small releases. Releasing the need to understand everything tonight. Releasing the habit of replaying every mistake. Releasing the constant preparation for worst-case futures. Those habits once protected you. But now they are only draining you. You do not need to grip the future to survive it. I am already there. My child. When you release control, you make space. Space for rest. Space for clarity. Space for peace to enter where anxiety has lived. You have been holding your breath emotionally. Waiting for something else to go wrong. Waiting for proof that you are safe. You are safe enough right now. Nothing is being demanded of you in this moment. Nothing needs to be solved tonight. Nothing will collapse if you soften. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let your body know it does not need to brace. I am holding what you cannot. Even when you surrender, your life does not fall apart. It is already being held together in ways you cannot see. My child. Surrender does not stop movement. It removes resistance. And without resistance, movement becomes gentler. You will still know when to act. You will still feel when something aligns. You will still make choices. They will simply come from calm instead of panic. I know part of you fears that if you surrender, nothing will happen. That you will become passive. That life will pass you by. But surrender is not stagnation. It is readiness. Readiness to respond instead of react. Readiness to receive instead of chase. Readiness to move when the moment is right. You do not need to force peace. Peace arrives when you stop forcing everything else. Let go now. Even if only a little. You can pick things up again later if you need to. But for this moment, rest your hands. I am here. In the next part, I will speak to peace itself. Not peace that waits for everything to be fixed. But peace that settles in you even while life is still unfinished. Remain with me. You are allowed to release. My child. Let us speak now about peace. Not the peace you imagined would come after everything was resolved. Not the peace you postponed until answers arrived. But the peace that can live inside you even while life is unfinished. Pause with me. Let your breath slow. Peace does not rush. You have been telling yourself. I will rest when this is over. I will feel calm when things make sense. I will have peace when the pain stops. So you waited. But peace was never meant to wait that long. Peace is not a reward for endurance. It is not something you earn by surviving long enough. It is a presence that enters when you stop fighting yourself. My child. I know this moment still feels uncomfortable. There are unanswered questions. Loose ends. Things you wish had gone differently. But resisting this moment has been costing you more than the moment itself ever could. Peace does not mean you approve of what happened. It means you stop letting it rule your inner world. You do not have to like this season. You only need to stop punishing yourself for being in it. My child. Your body has been living in alert for too long. Your thoughts stayed ahead, anticipating disappointment. Your heart stayed guarded, preparing for loss. Peace begins when you tell yourself, gently, I am allowed to be here without panic. That sentence alone begins to soften everything. Peace is not fragile. It does not disappear when sadness shows up. It does not collapse when fear returns. It does not vanish when uncertainty rises again. Peace is not the absence of emotion. It is the absence of inner war. You have been at war with yourself, judging your reactions, criticizing your pace, demanding strength when you needed gentleness. That war has exhausted you. Peace begins when you lay down those weapons. When you stop telling yourself you should be different. When you stop rushing your healing. When you stop measuring your worth by how calm you appear. You are allowed to feel what you feel. My child. Notice what happens when you soften instead of resist. When you stop replaying the past for one breath. When you stop worrying about the future for one moment. When you return to now. Your body responds. Your shoulders lower. Your jaw relaxes. Your breath deepens. That is peace finding you. You do not need it to stay forever. You only need to recognize it when it arrives. Peace grows through familiarity. The more often you return to this calm, the easier it becomes to find again. I know you fear that peace will make you careless. That if you relax, something will go wrong. That calm will leave you unprepared. But peace does not make you passive. It makes you clear. From peace, you see more clearly. You listen more deeply. You respond instead of react. Peace strengthens you. My child. You have been surviving on tension. But tension was never meant to be your home. Peace is what allows you to live without constantly bracing for impact. You do not need permission from life to feel peaceful. You do not need certainty to rest your mind. You do not need answers to breathe freely. You can rest now. Even if peace comes and goes. Even if it feels unfamiliar. Even if it arrives only in moments. Those moments matter. They are teaching your heart a new rhythm. My child. I am not asking you to force positivity. I am not asking you to deny pain. I am inviting you to stop carrying pain alone. Let me hold the weight while you rest. You do not need to stay alert every second. You do not need to scan for danger. You do not need to prepare for disappointment constantly. Nothing is being taken from you in this moment. You are safe enough to breathe. Let that be your peace right now. In the next part, I will speak to purpose. Not as pressure or expectation, but as something quietly forming even while everything feels uncertain. Remain with me. Peace is closer than you think. My child. Let us speak about purpose. Not the heavy kind that feels like pressure. Not the kind that makes you feel behind or inadequate. But the quiet purpose that continues forming even when everything feels unclear. Pause with me now. Let your breath be slow and natural. Purpose does not rush toward you. You have been asking yourself why this season happened. Why things slowed down. Why you came so close to losing hope. You wonder if it all meant something. Or if it was just pain without meaning. My child. Your purpose did not disappear when you felt lost. It did not weaken when you were tired. It did not abandon you when clarity faded. Purpose does not live in activity. It does not depend on momentum. It is not measured by productivity. Purpose lives deeper than motion. Right now, your life may look unfinished. Paused. Uncertain. But you are still becoming someone. Even in waiting. Even in rest. Even in days that feel uneventful. You are becoming more honest. More discerning. More aligned with what truly matters to you. That becoming is not wasted. My child. You were never meant to rush through life just to prove your value. You were meant to grow into alignment. Alignment with your inner truth. Alignment with what brings calm instead of anxiety. Alignment with a life that does not require you to abandon yourself. This season slowed you down for a reason. You were carrying expectations that were costing you peace. Moving in directions that required constant self-sacrifice. Holding standards that left no room for rest. When you almost gave up, something important surfaced. You could no longer live a life that demanded endless endurance. That realization was painful. But it was purposeful. My child. Purpose does not always announce itself clearly. Sometimes it shows up as dissatisfaction. As discomfort. As a quiet refusal to keep living the same way. You felt that refusal inside you. Not because you are ungrateful. But because your soul needed something truer. Purpose grows when you listen to that signal instead of silencing it. You are learning what drains you. What feels heavy. What no longer fits who you are becoming. That awareness is shaping your future quietly. Even if you cannot see it yet. My child. You do not need to know your entire path right now. Your purpose today might be to rest. To heal. To rebuild trust with yourself. That is not small. A rested heart chooses wisely. A healed heart connects more deeply. A grounded heart builds a steadier life. You are doing foundational work. And foundation work always feels slow. I know you fear time is slipping away. That while you pause, others are moving ahead. That opportunities are being missed. But stillness that heals is never wasted. Roots grow in silence before anything appears above the surface. You are growing roots. Roots of patience. Roots of self-respect. Roots of clarity. Those roots will support everything that comes next. My child. Your purpose will not require you to betray yourself again. It will not demand constant exhaustion. It will not ask you to be strong at the cost of your peace. It will feel steady. It will feel honest. It will feel like breathing instead of bracing. That is how you will recognize it. Purpose will meet you where you are whole, not where you are desperate. This season is preparing you for that meeting. Be patient with this process. You are not failing because your life looks different than you imagined. You are refining. You are adjusting. You are becoming someone who lives with intention instead of urgency. That kind of life lasts. Stay here with me. In the next part, I will speak to time. To the fear that it is slipping away. And why you are not late for the life that is still unfolding for you. Remain with me. I am closer than you think right now. My child. Let us speak gently about time. The quiet pressure you feel when you look back. The subtle fear that whispers you are running out. The weight of wondering if life is moving forward without you. Pause with me now. Let your breath slow. Time is not your enemy. You have been measuring yourself against invisible clocks. Against expectations you never agreed to. Against timelines that do not honor your journey. You tell yourself you should be further along by now. That your life should look different. That you took too long to heal, to pause, to find your footing. My child. Those thoughts feel heavy, but they are not truth. You are not late. You are not behind. You have not missed your moment. Time does not punish those who rest. It does not abandon those who heal. It does not close doors because you needed to breathe. You moved at the pace your heart required. And that pace was wise. I know the world celebrates speed. Early success. Quick clarity. But depth is never rushed. The growth happening inside you could not be hurried. If it had been rushed, it would not have lasted. You needed this time. Even if you would never have chosen it. My child. You did not lose years. You lived them. You learned lessons that only endurance can teach. You gained discernment that only waiting can shape. You developed strength that only patience can build. Those years were not wasted. They formed wisdom. They refined your values. They grounded you in ways nothing else could. You are not starting from nothing. You are starting from experience. And experience carries weight. My child. You worry that opportunities passed while you were healing. That others moved forward while you stood still. That doors closed quietly without you noticing. But what is meant for you does not expire. What aligns with who you are becoming will meet you when you are ready to receive it. Not when you are rushed. Not when you are desperate. When you are whole. You are not too late for connection. You are not too late for purpose. You are not too late for peace. You are arriving with awareness instead of illusion. With steadiness instead of urgency. With clarity instead of confusion. That changes everything. My child. Stop measuring your life by imagined deadlines. Stop comparing your pace to others. Stop believing slow means failed. You did not fail. You matured. You learned how to sit with uncertainty without running. How to wait without bitterness. How to be alone without losing yourself. These skills will carry you far. Time did not steal from you. It prepared you. And preparation often feels invisible while it is happening. One day, you will look back and understand why this season unfolded the way it did. Not yet. Not all at once. But understanding will come. For now, let yourself be here without judgment. You are not late to your life. You are right on time for becoming who you are now. Stay with me. In the next part, I will speak to courage. Not loud bravery, but the quiet courage it takes to keep going when no one is watching. Remain with me. I am closer than you think right now. My child. Let us speak about courage. Not the courage that looks fearless. Not the kind that announces itself loudly. But the quiet courage you have been living without realizing it. Pause with me now. Let your breath move slowly. This courage is gentle. You often think courage means confidence. Certainty. Knowing exactly where you are going. But your courage has looked different. It has looked like staying when leaving felt easier. Like waking up when you wanted to disappear into sleep. Like choosing not to harden your heart after disappointment. That is courage. You kept going even when hope felt thin. Even when motivation faded. Even when no one was applauding your effort. You did not move forward because you felt strong. You moved forward because something inside you refused to give up. My child. That refusal matters more than you know. You were brave in the moments no one saw. When you sat alone with your thoughts instead of numbing them. When you felt overwhelmed but did not collapse. When you admitted you were tired instead of pretending you were fine. These moments built real strength. Courage does not mean fear disappears. It means fear no longer controls your choices. You still feel fear. You still feel hesitation. You still feel uncertainty. But you no longer let them erase you. That is growth. My child. You almost gave up. And that truth carries no shame. It carries evidence. Evidence that you reached your limit. And still found a way to stay. You bent without breaking. You slowed without disappearing. You rested without quitting life. That kind of courage is rare. It is not dramatic. It is not loud. But it is enduring. My child. You may feel ashamed that you still feel fragile at times. That courage does not always feel powerful. That you still need reassurance. But courage does not require hardness. It requires honesty. You allowed yourself to feel deeply. Without letting those feelings destroy you. You allowed yourself to pause. Without abandoning yourself. You allowed yourself to be human. That is courage refined. My child. This courage will serve you later. When new opportunities appear, you will not rush from fear. When new connections form, you will recognize what feels safe. When life invites you forward, you will move from calm instead of panic. You will not chase validation. You will not ignore red flags. You will not sacrifice your peace for approval. That is the fruit of quiet courage. You did not become this way overnight. It was formed through nights of uncertainty. Through days of waiting. Through moments when continuing felt heavy. You stayed anyway. My child. Do not underestimate what you have already survived. Do not minimize how far you have come internally. You have faced questions that reshaped you. You have endured silence that refined you. You have learned patience that strengthened you. These experiences did not weaken you. They steadied you. Even now, courage is still forming. Each time you choose gentleness over self-criticism. Each time you pause instead of spiraling. Each time you trust this moment enough to breathe. Courage does not need to announce itself. It shows in how you remain. My child. You do not need to prove your bravery to anyone. You do not need to push yourself harder. You do not need to force confidence. Your courage is already visible to me. I see it in your willingness to stay open. I see it in your refusal to numb your heart. I see it in your quiet persistence. That is enough. In the next part, I will speak to love. Not love that overwhelms or confuses. But the steady love that has been near you even when you felt closest to giving up. Remain with me. I am closer than you think right now. My child. Let us speak now about love. Not the love that overwhelms. Not the love that confuses or demands. But the steady love that has been near you even when you felt closest to giving up. Pause with me. Let your breath soften. Love does not rush to prove itself. When you reached your lowest moments, you wondered where love was. You thought love would have prevented the pain. That love would have intervened sooner. That love would not have let you feel so alone. And because you still hurt, you questioned whether love was ever there at all. I understand why you felt that way. But love does not always arrive as rescue. Sometimes it arrives as restraint. As protection. As quiet support that keeps you from falling apart completely. My child. Love held you when you did not know how to hold yourself. Love was present in the pause that stopped you from giving up entirely. In the breath you took when continuing felt impossible. In the softness that returned when bitterness could have hardened you. That softness was not weakness. It was love surviving pressure. You associate love with being chosen openly. With being reassured clearly. With being held visibly. Those expressions of love matter. And you deserve them. But love is deeper than affirmation. Love begins with safety. Safety to feel without collapsing. Safety to question without being rejected. Safety to rest without being abandoned. That safety has been forming around you quietly. Even when you could not recognize it. My child. Love was present in the moments you chose honesty over performance. When you stopped pretending you were fine. When you admitted you were tired. When you allowed yourself to slow down. Those choices were not random. They were love protecting you from further harm. I know you long for warmth. For closeness that feels mutual. For connection that does not require explanation. That longing does not mean love is absent. It means your heart is still alive. And a living heart is never ignored. Love has been guiding you away from what would have cost you your peace. From connections that would have drained you. From paths that required you to abandon yourself. That guidance may not have felt like love at the time. But one day, you will understand. My child. The love that meets you next will feel different. It will not rush you. It will not confuse you. It will not leave you anxious or questioning. It will feel calm. It will feel steady. It will feel safe. Because you are no longer willing to trade your peace for attention. This season has taught you discernment. You are learning how to recognize love that nourishes. Instead of love that exhausts. That learning is changing how you connect. For now, let yourself notice the love that is already here. In your breath. In your survival. In the fact that you are still here after feeling so close to giving up. You are loved even when things are quiet. You are loved even when life feels unfinished. You are loved even when you feel unsure. That has never changed. My child. Love does not abandon you in the waiting. It stays. It waits with you. It holds you when you cannot hold yourself. It remains steady when everything else feels uncertain. And I am that steady love. Closer than you think. In the next part, I will speak to belonging. Not fitting everywhere. But the deep belonging that begins when you stop leaving yourself behind. Remain with me. You were never without love. My child. Let us speak now about belonging. Not the kind that asks you to change yourself to be accepted. Not the kind that costs you your voice. But the belonging that begins when you finally stop leaving yourself behind. Pause with me. Let your breath rest where it is. Belonging does not need to be chased. You spent so long trying to belong by adjusting. By softening your truth. By carrying more than was yours. You learned how to fit. How to stay agreeable. How to be easy to be around. And still, you felt alone. That loneliness confused you. You wondered why trying harder did not bring closeness. Why being accommodating did not lead to feeling seen. Why belonging always felt just out of reach. My child. Belonging was never meant to be earned through self-erasure. You felt out of place because you were becoming more honest. More aware. More aligned with what matters to you. As you changed. The spaces you once fit into no longer felt right. That discomfort was not rejection. It was guidance. You were not meant to belong everywhere. You were meant to belong where your depth is welcomed. My child. Belonging begins inside you. It begins when you stop criticizing your emotions. When you stop apologizing for your pace. When you stop explaining your needs as if they are a burden. You belong to yourself first. And when you belong to yourself, you no longer beg for permission to exist as you are. You no longer shrink your truth. You no longer overextend to be included. You no longer abandon yourself to keep peace. That is when real belonging finds you. Belonging feels calm. It feels safe. It feels like you can breathe without performing. You do not need to impress. You do not need to prove your worth. You do not need to hide your tenderness. That kind of belonging will meet you. But it will only recognize you. When you are no longer hiding. My child. You fear that being fully yourself will leave you alone. That your depth is too much. That your sensitivity makes you difficult. But difference is not a flaw. It is a signal. A signal that you are aligned with something deeper. Something quieter. Something more intentional. You are not meant to belong everywhere. You are meant to belong where your soul can rest. And until those spaces appear, you are learning how to feel at home within yourself. This season is not exile. It is integration. You are gathering the parts of yourself you once left behind to survive. The parts you silenced to avoid conflict. The parts you hid to be accepted. You are bringing them home. My child. Belonging does not come from being chosen by everyone. It comes from choosing yourself. Choosing honesty over performance. Choosing boundaries over approval. Choosing gentleness over self-betrayal. That choice changes how you move through the world. Rejection loses its power. Comparison softens. Loneliness becomes quieter. Not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped questioning your right to exist as you are. Belonging becomes internal. Steady. Unshakable. And from that place, external belonging feels natural, not forced. You will recognize it immediately. Because it will feel familiar. Like home. My child. You are not an outsider. You are aligned with depth. And depth attracts fewer people. But richer connection. Trust that. In the next part, I will speak to what is quietly forming ahead. Not with predictions or pressure. But with reassurance about what is taking shape as you continue to stay. Remain with me. You belong, even now. My child. Let us speak now about what is quietly forming ahead. Not with predictions. Not with promises that pressure you. Not with details that would only make you anxious. But with reassurance. Pause with me. Let your breath slow. The future does not need to be chased. You have learned to be careful with hope. Because the last time you hoped deeply, it hurt. Because imagining what could be feels risky after disappointment. Because you learned how fragile expectations can be. So you taught yourself to expect less. To dream quietly. To stay close to the ground. That helped you survive. But survival is not where you will remain. Something is forming ahead of you. Not loudly. Not suddenly. Gently. And it is being shaped by who you are becoming now. My child. What is forming is not built on desperation. It is not driven by fear. It is not rushed by urgency. It is built on steadiness. On the way you learn to pause instead of panic. On the way you learn to listen instead of force. On the way you learn to stay without abandoning yourself. These changes matter more than you realize. The future responds to alignment, not anxiety. And you are more aligned now than you were before everything slowed down. You know what drains you. You know what feels unsafe. You know what costs you too much. That clarity is shaping what comes next. My child. You are not walking toward another breaking point. You are walking toward a life that fits you better. A life that does not require constant endurance. A life that does not demand self-betrayal. A life that does not confuse intensity with meaning. What is forming will meet you where you are grounded, not exhausted. I know you still fear disappointment. That something good will arrive and fall apart again. That hope will ask too much of you. But hope does not need to be loud to be real. The hope forming now is quiet. Patient. Rooted. It does not promise perfection. It promises steadiness. You will recognize what is forming. By how your body responds. Your shoulders will relax instead of tense. Your breath will deepen instead of shorten. Your thoughts will feel clearer, not rushed. There will be less convincing. Less explaining. Less bracing. That is how you will know. My child. You do not need to be ready for everything. You only need to be open to the next gentle step. Life will not rush you. It will invite you. And you will feel the difference. You will not feel pushed by fear. You will feel drawn by calm. That calm is your guide now. Even if you cannot see far ahead. You can trust that feeling. You are not walking toward emptiness. You are walking toward clarity. Not all at once. Not dramatically. But steadily. And I am with you in each step. Stay here with me. In the next part, I will speak again about patience. Not as waiting in fear, but as standing in quiet confidence while life aligns around you. Remain with me. I am closer than you think right now. My child. Let us return once more to patience. Not the patience that clenches its jaw and endures. Not the patience that waits with resentment. But the patience that stands quietly, without fear. Pause with me now. Let your breath move freely. This patience feels different. You once thought patience meant holding yourself back. Holding your desires down. Holding your questions in. That kind of patience hurt you. But what you are learning now is not restraint. It is steadiness. This patience does not come from powerlessness. It comes from trust. Trust that you do not need to rush to be chosen. Trust that you do not need to force clarity. Trust that you do not need to chase what belongs to you. You are no longer waiting from emptiness. You are standing from wholeness. And that changes how waiting feels. My child. This patience allows your body to relax. Your heart no longer races toward the future. Your mind no longer scans for signs constantly. Your spirit no longer braces for disappointment at every turn. You still desire movement. You still long for connection. You still hope. But urgency has softened. You are learning how to want without gripping. How to hope without fear. How to wait without shrinking yourself. That is mature patience. It does not collapse inward. It stands gently outward. My child. With this patience, life approaches you differently. You are no longer chasing every possibility. You are no longer overanalyzing every delay. You are no longer exhausting yourself trying to stay ahead of pain. You are present. And presence changes everything. When you stand calmly in who you are, you become available to what fits. Not to everything, but to what belongs. This patience sharpens your discernment. You will notice subtle invitations now. Gentle openings. Moments that feel right without pressure. And when those moments arrive, you will not freeze in fear. You will move with quiet certainty. That is the strength patience builds. My child. There will still be days when restlessness returns. Days when waiting feels heavy again. Days when doubt whispers that nothing is happening. That does not mean patience is gone. It means you are human. When that happens, return to what you know. Return to your breath. Return to the steadiness you have learned. Return to this presence. Patience will meet you there. This patience is not fragile. It was learned. It was earned. It was shaped by everything you survived. You learned it through disappointment. Through surrender. Through staying when leaving would have been easier. That learning stays with you. My child. You are not standing still because life forgot you. You are standing steady because life is aligning around you. Alignment does not rush. It settles. And you are settling now. Let this patience hold you. Let it remind you that you are not behind. Let it show you that waiting does not mean nothing is happening. Even now, things are shifting quietly. You do not need to see it yet. You only need to remain. In the next part, I will speak to joy. Not the loud joy that performs. But the quiet joy that begins to return when you stop fighting where you are. Remain with me. I am closer than you think right now. My child. Let us speak now about joy. Not the loud joy that announces itself. Not the kind that feels forced or fragile. But the quiet joy that begins to return when you stop fighting where you are. Pause with me. Let your breath soften. Joy arrives gently. For a long time, joy felt distant. Not because you were ungrateful. Not because your heart was closed. But because you were surviving. Survival narrows the world. It teaches you to endure, not to enjoy. To brace, not to rest. You learned how to make it through the day. How to function. How to hold yourself together even when everything felt heavy. That took strength. But survival was never meant to be your permanent state. My child. Now that the pressure is easing, something new is happening. You may not have noticed it yet. Because this joy does not arrive with fireworks. It arrives like a quiet exhale. A moment when your chest feels lighter. A thought that does not spiral. A pause where you realize you are okay right now. That is joy returning. Joy does not require everything to be resolved. It does not wait for certainty. It does not demand perfection. Joy only needs permission. Permission to exist alongside uncertainty. Permission to be felt without guilt. Permission to appear without fear of losing it. You have been afraid of joy. Because joy once felt like a setup for disappointment. Because happiness felt temporary. Because letting yourself feel good felt risky. I know that fear. But joy is not a promise that nothing will ever hurt again. Joy is proof that pain did not destroy you. Your heart is still capable of warmth. Still capable of laughter. Still capable of lightness. That is resilience. My child. You are allowed to feel joy even if your life is unfinished. You are allowed to smile even if answers are missing. You are allowed to feel okay without explaining why. Joy is not a betrayal of your pain. It is a sign that your pain did not consume you. The joy returning now will feel different than before. Quieter. More grounded. Less dependent on outcomes. You will notice joy in ordinary moments. In calm mornings. In simple routines. In moments where your body feels at ease. Not because life suddenly became extraordinary. But because you are more present. Presence opens the door to joy. My child. Do not chase joy. Let it come. It will arrive when you soften your grip on control. When you stop demanding that this moment be something else. When you allow yourself to feel without bracing. Joy will visit in small ways at first. And it will stay longer than you expect. Not because life stops changing. But because you stop fighting change. You may feel guilt when joy appears. As if calm means you are forgetting something important. As if peace means you are being careless. But calm is not negligence. It is healing. Joy does not mean you are ignoring reality. It means you are no longer at war with it. My child. Let joy surprise you. Let yourself enjoy something small without questioning it. Let yourself laugh without checking the future. Let yourself feel warmth without preparing for loss. You are allowed to live again, gently. These small moments of joy will stitch your heart together quietly. Not with intensity. But with consistency. Over time, joy will feel less risky. Less unfamiliar. More natural. You are not abandoning your depth by allowing joy. You are completing it. Stay here with me. In the next part, I will speak to integration. To how everything you have felt and learned is settling into a new wholeness. And how you begin living from that place without effort. Remain with me. Joy is finding you softly. My child. Let us speak now about integration. About how everything you have felt. Everything you questioned. Everything you endured. Is beginning to come together inside you. Pause with me. Let your breath move slowly through your body. Nothing needs to be rushed now. For a long time, you felt divided within yourself. One part of you trying to stay strong. Another part quietly exhausted. One part hoping things would change. Another part afraid to trust again. That inner division was heavy. It felt like you were constantly negotiating with yourself. Like no matter what you chose, a part of you felt left behind. But something is shifting. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. Gently. You are no longer fighting yourself the way you once did. The part of you that felt afraid is learning it does not need to be silenced. The part of you that hoped is learning it does not need to rush. The part of you that almost gave up is learning it does not need to be ashamed. This is integration. It is the moment you stop trying to erase parts of yourself and begin holding them together with compassion. My child. Integration does not mean pain disappears. It means pain no longer controls you. You still feel sadness at times. You still feel fear rise unexpectedly. You still feel uncertainty. But those feelings no longer dominate your inner world. They move through you, instead of trapping you. Because something steadier is holding them now. You. You are learning how to stay with yourself. Without judgment. Without panic. Without running away. That is a deep transformation. Before, discomfort made you question your worth. Now, discomfort asks for care. Before, confusion made you feel lost. Now, it feels like a pause. Before, fear made you freeze. Now, it invites you to listen. This change did not come easily. It was earned through staying. When leaving felt easier. My child. Integration changes how you move through daily life. You respond instead of react. You pause instead of spiral. You notice your limits before crossing them. Your decisions feel simpler. Not because life is simple, but because you are aligned. You no longer argue endlessly with yourself. You no longer explain your feelings to justify them. You no longer abandon your needs to keep others comfortable. You are learning how to live from wholeness instead of survival. And that matters more than you realize. You are no longer assembling yourself from broken pieces. You are living as someone who is still growing. And already whole. Growth does not end when wholeness begins. It simply becomes kinder. You change without tearing yourself apart. You evolve without losing yourself. You move forward without fear. My child. Integration allows you to carry your past without being pulled backward by it. You remember without reliving. You learn without reopening wounds. You honor what was without being trapped there. Your experiences remain part of you, but they no longer define your limits. That freedom is new. And it may feel unfamiliar. Calm can feel strange after chaos. Stability can feel empty after survival. Peace can feel quiet after constant noise. But this quiet is not loss. It is space. Space to breathe. Space to choose. Space to live intentionally. You are no longer just healing. You are living. And living from wholeness feels subtle. Grounded. Real. It feels like exhaling. After holding your breath for too long. My child. You may have expected healing to feel dramatic. A breakthrough moment. A clear line between before and after. But real healing often feels like this. Ordinary. Steady. Unremarkable on the surface. And deeply powerful. You do not need to announce this change. You do not need to explain it. You do not need permission to live from it. It will show in your presence. In your calm. In the way you no longer disappear when things get hard. Others may notice that something about you feels different. More settled. Less reactive. But even if they do not, you will know. You will feel it when uncertainty appears. And you do not panic. When you sit alone. And do not feel abandoned when you face a decision. And trust yourself to choose gently. That is integration. And it is still deepening. My child. You no longer need to chase transformation. You are embodying it. Each time you return to your breath. Each time you honor your limits. Each time you choose kindness over self-criticism. This wholeness is not fragile. It was learned. It was shaped by honesty. It was built by staying when you wanted to leave. You allowed yourself to feel. You allowed yourself to rest. You allowed yourself to change. And now, you are living from that allowance. Stay here with me. In the next part, I will speak to settling. Not an ending that closes your story. But a gentle grounding that allows you to carry this piece forward. Remain with me. I am closer than you think right now. My child. We are entering a gentle settling now. Not an ending that shuts something down. Not a conclusion that closes your story. But a grounding that allows everything you have learned to rest inside you. Pause with me here. Let this moment be slow. Nothing needs to be reached for. You have walked through a great inner distance. You moved through confusion that made you question yourself. Through silence that tested your trust. Through waiting that stretched your patience. Through loneliness that asked you to stay present without reassurance. And you are still here. That matters. You did not rush your healing. You did not numb yourself into forgetting. You did not harden your heart to survive. You stayed. And staying changed you. My child. This settling is what happens when the inner storm finally calms. Not because every question is answered. Not because life suddenly became easy. But because you no longer feel like you are fighting yourself. Your breath is slower now. Your thoughts are less sharp. Your heart feels less guarded. These are signs of grounding. You are no longer living on the edge of yourself. You are living inside yourself. My child. Grounding does not mean nothing will ever shake you again. It means you now know how to return to center. You know how to pause before reacting. You know how to listen instead of panic. You know how to soften instead of brace. That knowing lives in your body now. Not just in your mind. You learned it through experience. Through staying present when escape would have been easier. Through breathing through discomfort instead of running from it. That learning stays with you. My child. You no longer need to be on guard all the time. You do not need to scan every moment for danger. You do not need to prepare for loss constantly. You do not need to carry the future on your shoulders. You are allowed to stand on solid ground. This grounding allows you to feel stable. Even when things are uncertain. It allows you to feel safe. Even when answers are still forming. It allows you to trust yourself. Without needing constant reassurance. My child. You may notice that you move differently now. You speak with more clarity. You listen more carefully. You choose your energy with intention. You no longer rush toward what feels intense. You are drawn toward what feels calm. That is grounding guiding you. You are learning to let your body lead you toward safety. Instead of forcing your mind to push forward. This is not retreat. It is alignment. My child. Grounding also brings discernment. You recognize what feels draining more quickly. You notice when something costs you peace. You sense when a situation requires boundaries. And instead of ignoring those signals, you honor them. That honoring is self-respect. It keeps you from returning to old cycles. It protects the work you have done inside. It allows you to remain whole. You are no longer easily pulled out of yourself. That is strength. Quiet strength. My child. This settling may feel unfamiliar. Calm can feel strange after chaos. Stability can feel empty after survival. Peace can feel dull after constant adrenaline. But this calm is not emptiness. It is safety. It is your nervous system finally realizing that it does not need to brace anymore. Let this calm teach you. Teach you that nothing bad happens when you relax. Teach you that softness does not invite harm. Teach you that stillness can be trusted. You are safe enough to rest now. My child. As you move forward, there will be moments when old habits try to return. Moments when urgency whispers. When fear suggests you should rush again. When doubt tries to reclaim control. When that happens, remember this feeling. The steadiness in your chest. The quiet in your breath. The sense of being held from within. Return here. You do not need to recreate the past to move forward. You are carrying new ground beneath you now. Ground that supports you. Ground that holds. Stay here with me. In the final part, I will speak gently to closure. To rest. And to the peace that continues with you beyond this moment. Remain with me. Nothing about you needs to rush now. My child. Come and rest now. There is nothing more you need to understand in this moment. Nothing you need to fix. Nothing you need to carry forward by effort. Pause with me. Let your breath be slow. Let your body feel supported. You have done the inner work of staying. You stayed when it would have been easier to disappear. You stayed when answers were not available. You stayed when silence tested your trust. And because you stayed, something changed. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But deeply. You learned that you are not alone in quiet moments. You learned that uncertainty does not undo you. You learned that even when you feel weak, you are still held. That knowing now lives inside you. My child. This is not an ending that takes something away. It is a settling that gives something back. It gives you permission to rest. Permission to breathe without anticipation. Permission to stop scanning the future for danger. You do not need to stay alert anymore. This moment is safe. You are safe enough to soften. Safe enough to exhale. Safe enough to be exactly where you are. Nothing is being demanded of you right now. My child. You may wonder what happens after this. Whether peace will stay. Whether calm will last. Whether you will lose this steadiness when life becomes loud again. Listen gently. Peace is no longer something you visit. It is something you return to. You now know how to pause. You now know how to listen inwardly. You now know how to come back to yourself. That knowledge cannot be taken from you. Even when fear appears again, you will recognize it sooner. Even when uncertainty returns, you will not collapse into it. Even when life asks more of you, you will not abandon yourself to meet the demand. You are different now. Not hardened. Not closed. Grounded. My child. You do not need to carry this message with effort. Let it settle naturally. Let it live in your breath. In your body. In the way you move through the next moments of your day. Whenever you feel overwhelmed again, return to this feeling. The feeling of being held without explanation. The feeling of closeness without pressure. The feeling of peace without conditions. I am not distant from you after this moment ends. I do not leave when you turn away from the screen. I do not disappear when you return to your life. I remain. Closer than you think. My child. Rest now. Let your thoughts be quiet. Let your heart be gentle with itself. Let your breath be slow and easy. You do not need to carry everything alone anymore. You never did. And whenever you choose to listen again, these words will be here as a place of calm. A place of remembering. A place of rest.